world, Krista here with Books and Jams, and I'm excited today to share with you my monthly recommendations for around the world. Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group that was started by Rayne over at the channel Rayne and Trina from Between Chapters. And this is my first month that I'm participating, and I'm excited. I have a ton of books here to show you. Well, actually 6. I have read more books from other places, but these are the 6 that I own physically, so I decided to just stick with these. And so let's just get right into it. The first one is a book that I read when I was a teenager probably, and reading this book made me want to go to this place desperately, and that is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, and she is writing from Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, Halifax, that northeastern part of Canada, and I really want to go to Prince Edward Island. L.M. Montgomery gives you a real sense of the land, the beauty of the setting of where she lives, and so I want to go there. I want to go to Green Gables, and I want to go to the White Way of Delight and the Lake of Shining Waters and all of the places that Anne visits or goes and lives. I want to be there. Next, I have a book that I read, I believe, for a world literature class in college, and that is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, and this takes place in Nigeria, and it's the story of a man, Ogankwo. I don't know how to say that exactly, but he is a strongman or a tribal leader in his tribe, and I guess there's a bit of a fall from grace that he has, but also it's the story of Western influence when European missionaries come to their tribe and try to change them and westernize them, and it's very sad, the outcome of that. But this book really gives a good glimpse into tribal Africa, which I've never personally experienced, so I found it very interesting. The next book I have is set in Australia and England, and it's The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton. I don't remember too much about this story, but I do remember that I absolutely loved it. This story is about a little girl who's abandoned on a ship that is headed to Australia, and so she doesn't know anything about her past, but a couple from the ship adopts her in a way, and as she gets older and begins to learn about her past, she travels to England to try to find her family, and there's a bit of a mystery involved. It's beautifully written and makes me want to go to Australia. The next book I have is by one of my favorite authors, Ted Dekker, and this is Outlaw, but this one is set in the jungles of New Guinea, and it's really hard to explain a Ted Dekker book. I'll put a link to the description in the that box down below so that you can take a look at the synopsis of this. But I really love Ted Dekker. I love just about everything that he's ever written, and this is one that I do own. So Outlaw New Guinea. This next book is one of my favorites from 2016 so far, and I bought it at a library book sale, and I don't have the cover for it, but it's The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book wrecked me. It broke my heart, and I cried big ugly tears. But this is set in France about 2 sisters during World War II. The scene and the setting of the story is not in Nazi Germany, but it's the effect of the Nazis and the war on France and the area where they live. And these 2 sisters take 2 different, very different approaches to their roles in the war. So the one sister, a Nazi soldier, billets in her home, so she has to make choices to protect herself and her daughter, and then the other sister is a bit more of a firecracker and joins the resistance. You get 2 different settings there, but it is set in France, and it's a beautiful story. The next one is set in Scotland, and it's Thorn in My Heart by Liz Curtis Higgs. This is actually part of a trilogy or quartet that is set in Scotland. I think I just said that. It is actually a biblical fiction of Jacob and Rachel and Leah, which is a famous biblical love triangle, I guess you could say. There's a lot of deceit and hurt, but this is a beautiful story. It took me a little bit to get into it because of the Scottish brogue. Written out was a little confusing for my brain since I'm not used to that, but once I got into it, it was really fun to read this version of that story that I've known for so long. So Scotland. And finally, I have a nonfiction book called I Am Malala, which is written by Malala with some help. Malala Yousafzai, I don't know how to say that, and Christine Lamb, who helped her with that. But this is about a 16-year-old, well, this is written by a 16-year-old explaining about her life as a girl who wants an education and was raised by fantastic parents, and her dad really pushed for women to be educated in a place in Pakistan where it was not very common, and her dad actually started a school. Malala became a public speaker at a very young age. I believe 11 was the first time she was on the radio to speak out for girls' education. She won public speaking contests at her school, but then also became a voice for girls and women to be educated in Pakistan during the time of the Taliban. And she actually was then shot in the face by the Taliban and lived to tell about it. And this is her story. I feel like I learned so much about this area of the world that I didn't know. So this is an insider's perspective and a young girl's perspective. You can really hear her voice in this story, and you know that it's written by a young girl. But she's incredibly intelligent, and I really appreciated the way that she shared about what happened. So it was a little bit of a slow read. As I've said before, nonfiction and memoirs take me a little bit longer to read, and it was very filled with history, a volatile place, but it was interesting. So Pakistan, you get to learn a lot about the world over there in a place where I've never been. So that was it for my monthly recommendations. I am excited to participate in this group now and then. I would love to hear if you have a book that's set in another part of the world that makes you want to travel there. So share in the comments below if you have a book that you could recommend from another part of the world, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!